Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Thriving in Chaos. I am your host, Rebel Phoenix, and with me as always, Stella Rune.
Howdy.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm better now.
Yeah, me too.
I'm I'm always better when I get to see my favorite cousin.
I know. It just makes our days so much better.
Actually, my day has been pretty great. I mean, the weather outside was actually amazing today, and now I wish it would stay that way forever, but it's going to be like 40 tomorrow. Go
So
figure.
here in the morning it was like cloudy and then we got a wind advisor in the afternoon and I went to the grocery store and back and it was raining. And then I came back. I was back for maybe 40 minutes and it was sunny. So we had all the seasons today.
That was literally my day yesterday. Even the grocery store.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny.
Great minds think alike, just not at the
You
same
know,
time, apparently.
apparently not. A little delayed over here.
A little bit, a little bit.
A little bit.
Anyway, we have another great show prepared tonight. As always, we have a special guest of honor.
Yes, we do indeed.
He is a paranormal researcher, and some of you might actually know him from Supernatural Stories Untold. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Chris Mendace.
What's up? What's up?
Hi.
What's going on, guys? Thank you for
Hello,
having me
hello,
on.
hello.
How
Thank
you
you for
guys making
taking the
out
time.
today? Listen, I'll have
Been
time
one
for
of
you
those
guys
days.
whenever.
I love it. Thank you. That's so kind. Straight out of the gate. You don't even know us
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. Listen,
Right.
I try.
So
But
why don't
talking
you
about
tell
the
us?
weather here. Talking about the
Yeah.
weather, it's extremely windy where I'm at right now. I don't know, you
Yeah.
guys might be able to hear in the background. I got the noise cancellation on, but it's crazy out there right now.
Where
I
are
can't
you
hear it.
from?
I'm from New Jersey. What
Oh,
about you?
you probably got
Ooh,
our wind from earlier.
Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey.
It all traveled up north from down here south in West Virginia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got a couple wind advisories earlier today, so you're probably getting what we had.
Yep, it's actually starting as we speak. Like you can hear it. It's like nuts out there. Hear all
Yeah,
the
it
wind
was
chimes.
crazy for a little bit. My kids were like, "Let's go to the park," and I was like, "Guys, no."
We'll
Let's
float
fly.
away.
Let's fly a kite.
Yeah, they're like, "Let's go to the park." No, guys, no. This is a terrible idea.
That's
Just
funny.
tell them
I
that
must have
Mary
said no
Poppins
40
is going to fly away.
Well,
They probably would not know who Mary Poppins is nowadays. Yeah.
actually, my
Her
kids
kids
love Mary
would.
Poppins. They love
Really?
Mary Poppins.
Her
Yeah,
kids would know Disney without a doubt, like for
yeah.
sure.
Mary Poppins
That's
was my
funny.
daughter's favorite character for a very long time,
That's
and
awesome.
we had gone to Disney one time and we missed her, and the next time we went, we made it a point, like, we got to Epcot and we went straight to England to make sure that we met her on time because she was so upset she didn't meet her the first time.
That's pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
my kids would not know who she is. I'd probably tell them to give me the blank stare and look at me like, "What are
you're
you
like,
talking
"Who?"
about?"
Yeah.
Oh, let's not forget the spin-off of Mary Poppins, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
They do not know that, but they do know Mary Poppins.
Oh, they don't know Mary Poppins' boyfriend?
No. No, but
Although
they do
speaking
I was gonna say, in the same realm of theme of movie, they do know Nanny McPhee, and they love her.
speaking
Like
of
that.
Mary Poppins, have you guys ever heard the theory that Mary Poppins is actually like connected to Pennywise from It? Like Pennywise is the bad deadite and she's like a good deadite because like
No,
everything about her matches him in the opposite way.
Yeah,
no,
I've
I
seen
didn't
that.
know that.
So like they say where he feeds on the fear of children, she feeds on their laughter and happiness. He feeds on their fear and sadness. And they both float. You know, one
Huh,
of his big things is we all
Mhm.
float down here with the balloons, and she has the floating umbrella that she flies with.
that's pretty
And
cool.
um there's just it's a whole YouTube video. I could find it, but like everything that they said in there kind of made sense when you think about it.
I'm gonna have to
Like,
look it up because that's
yeah.
that's pretty interesting, especially with that whole new series coming out. What's that, Dairy Town or Dairyville or
Welcome
something?
welcome to Derry, I think it
Yes, that's what
Yeah.
it
is.
was. Yep,
Yeah,
that'd be something to look into.
I love, like, when they do, like, the almost like fan fiction where they kind of correlate two completely opposite characters, and they're like, well, actually, because like who thought of that?
Yeah.
Who-
Well, it's like a Top Gun story too. I don't know if you guys heard the Top Gun story, where it's like a different love story. You guys got to look that one up
Oh, I have to look that one up. I don't know anything
Yeah.
about that one.
between Iceman and
I haven't heard that one.
Tom Cruise. Yeah, it's actually interesting. There's a whole YouTube video on that too. So that's why when you said that, I was like, man, I wonder if it's the same guy.
Oh, I wonder. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
love how people like make it their whole thing to like just notes. It's like different stories that could possibly be. I'm a big Disney fan, so my favorite is when they do Disney movies. So I get a little tickled by all of that.
That's funny. I like
Well,
it.
they also said that Jason Voorhees is also a Deadite, like it. That's why he always keeps coming back supernaturally, and
Hmm.
he's very hard to kill because it, if you remember, well, I don't know, it in the original was killed physically, but sort of. It was more like emotionally killing because, like, you know, when Eddie, this is battery acid, blah blah blah. Yeah, that was their imagination killing him, per se. As you saw in It Chapter 2, the remake, like they literally bullied him to death.
Yeah.
Jason was bullied in life, but nobody ever thought to try that in death.
Right.
So Jason just always kept resurrecting.
It's probably like how all of like kind of the same concept and idea behind all of Rob Zombie's scary movies, especially with like
Yeah.
Michael Myers and all that. Same
Oh, I love
concept.
me some Rob Zombie.
We talk about him a lot on this podcast. I feel like podcast
really?
show,
That's
whatever you
awesome.
want to call it. Yeah. Yeah.
I have
I'm
a guy I know actually. He has a whole collection of actual like screen prints, like Michael Myers mask, like in his entire basement. They're all like actual masks that were used for all the movies that been created since day
Oh, that's
one.
awesome.
We
That's
actually
fantastic.
own.
That's so cool.
We actually have the autographed Kane Hodder mask from number 8 that he used in the movie.
Oh, that's
So
That's awesome.
that's like my husband's prized possession. He even wore it on our wedding day at the altar.
he popped into an off, when we weren't recording. I almost said an off screen, but we were obviously on screen. But when we weren't recording, he popped into the background and he was wearing it. I didn't notice it at first, and I was like, "What is that?" Oh, I was like, "Oh, hey." That's funny. But he's wearing the Jason mask.
See ya. That's hilarious. I think Jason, right?
Yeah.
Was it Jason? Yeah, it was filmed here in New Jersey, probably like an hour from my house. Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Was that
awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually got married on Friday the 13th. So he obviously dressed as Jason because we did it like a horror movie theme. But obviously, Jason was one of those movie monsters that never really had a love interest. So to combat that, I went with the closest thing to a female version of Jason, which would have been Angela Johnson from Sleepaway Camp. So I dressed up as Angela and he went as Jason, which is also funny because Jason's mask was actually implemented in each one of the Sleepaway Camp movies in one way or another.
That's pretty cool. It's interesting. You guys put a lot of thought behind that too. It's neat.
Little Easter eggs. I love that.
Actually, our cake, if you guys go on my Facebook and look, our entire cake was Friday the 13th and Sleepaway Camp, top to bottom. And it was like chocolate banana. So like the cake was chocolate, but it was like red velvet cake. So like when we cut into it, it looked like it was bleeding. It's
I love
fucking
it.
awesome. It's
Jeez.
great. Best
Actually
tasting
pretty
cake
cool.
of my life.
That's
It's
awesome.
actually pretty cool. Like, so when you cut into it, like the actual blood just came out, like dripping out.
Yeah, it was like oozing out.
That's
It was
neat.
great. And
really cool.
like I remember the person that we got to do the cake for us because she's a home baker. She's not like anybody,
Yeah.
professional or anything. She's just a friend of mine that happens to like baking. And Lord knows I gave her a lot of challenges over the last couple of years. She made a Cthulhu cake for me. She did a hockey mask cake, and then she did the wedding cake. But she asked me, like, she's like, normal couples keep the first tier for a year and then they eat it on their 1-year anniversary. I'm like, yeah, there were no survivors. It didn't even make it that far. Like, the cake was gone before we left the reception.
That's pretty cool. Hey, at least
Michael
it
and
didn't
I
go to
got
waste.
one piece. Michael and I got one piece, and there were only like 5 other people at our wedding. So that should tell you how
Well,
good
that's
it
funny.
was.
That's great.
funny.
Listen, as long as everybody ate good, that's all that matters.
Amen. It's my goal in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, this is how we
And
like
mine
to
too.
roll on Thriving in Chaos.
We just talk.
Our conversations don't. Yeah, they're not scripted. We just talk
Listen,
about what
I
we
like
feel
it.
like it.
I
So
like
you
it.
know, just because you're from the paranormal field doesn't mean that's what we're talking about.
Well, now we're talking about
obviously.
cake, so
I
Jake,
know.
Jason, it's all paranormal related. It's got all a little concept and
Yeah.
theory behind it.
I mean, my mom used to yell at me all the time about cake. And I'm like, she's like, what if somebody poisons cake and gives it to you? That's okay. I could think of worse ways to go. Bring it on. Write
guess
it on
I
my
die
tombstone.
happy. I don't know.
I'm going to die fat and happy.
Cool.
I don't care.
Die with a full
We're
stomach.
all
you're
dying
happy.
anyway.
Right.
So as that poison tasted good, that's all that matters.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, we all got to die someday anyway. I could think of
that's
worse
true.
ways to go than death by cake.
What were her
Yeah.
last words? Worth it.
Sweet.
Right.
No, mine would probably be like, I'll be like Corey Giles. More cake
That's funny.
instead of more weight. More cake.
That's funny.
That's great. I like it.
So, anyways, now that we spent the first 15 minutes talking about cake and weddings and all this jazz, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with Supernatural Untold Stories?
Yeah, of course. Basically, right now, just doing paranormal investigations, trying to go to as many places as I can when I'm off, just to investigate the paranormal, try to understand a little more from it. I know a lot of people tend to just investigate and do it for fun, which is exactly what I do. I do it for fun, only because I like it, and I try to keep myself happy by doing it. So as long as it's something I enjoy in doing, it's something that I want to do. So the main reason why I do it is basically like trying to understand, like I said originally, the paranormal, but also visiting all these historic places that many people don't really have access to, other than you doing a paranormal investigation to it. That's basically what I'm doing right now with Supernatural Untold Story, and just documenting my way of investigating and the type of activities and different evidence that I get. I like to just put it out and get other people's opinion, because there's always different way of thinking of what you're captured. And like I said before, it's different way of doing paranormal investigations. Nobody's way is better than one another. Just it may work for what works for someone doesn't work for somebody else, or vice versa. We're not all experts in the paranormal. We're just all doing the same thing at the end of the day.
Yeah. I honestly don't think that like anybody's really an expert, because everybody gets different, I guess responses from the paranormal side of things. Everybody gets different stuff, and I think we all kind of read it differently. So I don't know that
Right.
is anybody ever really an expert?
Well, I mean, in all fairness, the paranormal field is one of those, every time you learn the rules, they change.
Well, it also cracks me up, like when you go around and you see people calling themselves experts, or saying I'm an expert at this, I'm an expert at that. No, I mean there's really no experts. At the end of the day, we're all doing the same exact thing. We're all learning from the same thing we're doing.
Right.
What works for me may not work for you, and may not work for you, but may work for somebody else. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
different ways of doing things.
Yeah, there's definitely different ways, but not, there's no right way to do anything.
Right. There's no wrong answer.
We all know that 2 + 2 is always going to equal 4, but so is 3 + 1 and 5 - 2 or 5 - 1. They're always going to equal 4. It's the same answer with different equations to get that answer. Same
Right.
thing with this. There's always different methods of research.
I want you to know that
Right.
5 - 2 is 4 is definitely going to be the clip that we get. It's always like the
Probably.
weirdest things we say, so that people can just feed on it. It's definitely going to be the clip we get every time.
Wait. Let
like
me make the stupidest face possible right now, and that'll be what we get. Ready? Okay.
She always
That'll be the clip.
in the clips
That
we
will
get
be the clip.
to post. She always makes the weirdest faces, and I'm usually just smiling, and
Just
she
go with the
always is
flow.
making the weirdest faces.
I like
I'm always like,
But it makes everybody want to click on it though to
Right,
watch.
right.
Like,
We're
well, let's go
definitely
on
getting one of
here.
those faces.
It always catches her looking super pretty, and I'm always the weird, awkward one in the corner, like.
One of them I am making a weird face, so I was like, "Oh look, they did catch me with a bad face one time."
That's funny. Hey, listen, we all, as much as we don't realize it, our faces like change. I
Oh.
notice when I'm editing videos, I'm doing like some of the videos for Supernatural Untold Stories. The different facial expressions that I make while I'm talking is insane. When you're like pausing every little second of it, you're like, "Man, did I really make that face?" Like, I wish.
Is that really how I look?
Right? It's like, geez,
It's just
like,
funny.
how many kids am I
My
scaring
eyes
in
are
this one
always
video?
closed. My mouth is open.
It's just, yeah, we had one episode where she's making like the best face, and I was like, I love this so much. Yeah.
That's
You just
literally
edit.
how it caught the episode, and I posted that and had to advertise it like.
And you
Or
use people's imagination
or
to it. What did she say? You know what I mean? Like, what
Right.
happened in this episode? It'd
Like,
be
what is
kinda
she
funny.
even doing? Oh, so funny. Anyway,
It had to be
sorry. That's
something very, very intense and very serious.
yeah. And every time she says something that's like kind of like off the wall or I correct myself, one of us, it's always the clip we get. And it's always the best clip. And I'm always like, we have to use this one.
yeah.
Like we have to use it.
You know, if
That's
I was
great.
into editing, we would have such a blooper reel from this show. From all the times I say the
That
wrong thing, or it comes out backwards, or
or just comes
the
out
stupid
exactly like now
faces.
how you imagined it. You know what I mean?
I think I spent the
Yeah.
half of one episode like just like completely
I've
like out of it. So I was just like kind of spacing. So yeah. We'd have
That's
great
funny.
bloopers.
I like that. Play it all as one episode.
Yeah. Problem is there's just the whole episode. We just do it. It's fine.
I like it. That's funny.
How
So tell
long have
me
you been doing the stories? I'm sorry.
So
the
Will have questions
par-
for you, brother.
Nah, it's okay. Supernatural, the Supernatural Untold Stories just started this year. Actually, probably right at the end of December, early January. So I started pushing that out. It's actually doing pretty good so far. I think it's close to like close to 1,000 followers right now on TikTok.
Oh, congrats. That's awesome.
Trying to switch. Yeah, I'm trying to switch everything over to that. Obviously, like this isn't just the only thing that I do. I've been in like several other documentaries for ScareNetwork.tv. One of which was actually my hometown where I grew up on, which is definitely interesting.
Oh, cool.
Turned out to be like a whole town that was just like pretty much haunted and had different, but close to the same activity as each new house had, which was interesting. But it's like the same thing, like I said before. I mean, doing this paranormal stuff just kind of like has just pushed me to go different places that I never would have been able to go if I wasn't doing this, which is neat. What about you guys?
Go ahead, Ro. I'll let you take that.
no,
I
I'll
wasn't
let you take
expecting me to ask questions. I like that. I like that.
You're like, oh wait, what?
Wait, he's asking questions. I like it. No, yes. So how long
Who
have you been
said
doing
you were allowed to interview us, sir?
I listen. This is what I do in every podcast. I switch it around. I start asking questions, and it throws everybody off. But I like it.
This actually,
Okay,
so you're
what
the
was
second
the
guest we've had to do that. How long have we been doing this?
The show or
Just doing paranormal investigations in general.
actually our day. I've been doing paranormal since I was okay. I realized my abilities when I was 6 after my near-death experience, and I've pretty much been studying for, like I said, as far back as I started reading. I've been reading Ed and Lorraine Warren books. So I'm in my late 20s. I'm 37. So that's about 21 years now. I'm kidding. It's like, yeah. That's 21 years I've been actively investigating. But 31 years that I've had my abilities.
Let me ask you this question because you just touched on something that I'm actually pretty interested on too. You said your near-death experience. Did that somehow make you more interested into the paranormal just from having that experience, or did that experience also help your abilities to be able to communicate with, paranormal?
Both, because it was actually ghosts that saved my life that day. So we had just moved into my childhood home in Glen Burnie, Maryland, which is where Stella's from. She actually lives around the corner from that old house. And when we first moved in, there was a deck in the backyard that had a hot tub on it. And me and the girl from next door were having a water gun fight because it was like late August, maybe early September. So it was still hot outside. And she had gone under the deck to get away from me. And as I was standing there waiting for her to come back out, I heard someone behind me call my name. And I turned around, and when I looked, it was a woman, and I could see her, but I could also see through her. And she had long, dark brown hair, and she was wearing like a white nightgown with little tiny blue roses on it, like little tiny blue flowers and like the stems and the green leaves. And it reached down to the ankles, and it had lace around the cuffs in the bottom. And I remember looking at her wondering like who she was first off, and why could I see my house through her, cuz that was my first experience ever with this like paranormal. And about that time, my friend called my name from behind me. So I turned back around to her, and she hit me square in the eyes with the water gun, which sent me stumbling backwards. And I went head first into the hot tub, and I hit my head on the concrete wall on the inside, like the seats, which obviously knocked me out. And my mom was in the shower in the bathroom at the time. So my friend ran to grab her, and by the time my mom got to the back door, she said that she had seen me just like fly up over the side of the hot tub, and it looked like something just smacked me in the back because I jerked and all the water came out. Like I coughed all the water out. And I remember like when I finally kind of came to and realized what had happened, I saw the lady standing there, and I described her to my mom. And I told her that I had gotten the name Carmen. She told me her name was Carmen and that she was leaving now. So I remember one day my mom was like putting Christmas decorations or something up in the attic, and she ended up finding a box that had newspaper clippings. And it said that Carmen's daughter had drowned in the same hot tub that I had drowned in. And she was also in the shower at the time, just like my mom had been. And she ended up taking her own life in my bedroom, which used to be where her daughter's bedroom was. So in saving me, that's what she had to do to cross over. And I never saw her again after that. But that was when my abilities really kicked into full gear, because I remember after that, I would see ghosts nonstop. And my mom used to yell at me all the time, telling me I was talking to myself. I was too old for imaginary friends. She even went so far as to take me to therapists to tell me that I was like psychosomatic. Come to find out, I was just clairvoyant and clairaudient and clairsentient, and nobody knew. I'm also precognitive. I see things before they happen sometimes. But that was my first real experience with the paranormal, was when I actually died, because I was actually dead, but I came back. And then after that, it was like everything kicked into high gear.
So that like little traumatic experience, we'll call it that, because I mean that's essentially what it is. Kind of amped your ability to be able to communicate with the actual like paranormal and everything like that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's what really opened the door, was kind of walking in both worlds.
Yeah, see, I like hearing stories like that, and the reason why is because that's kind of how I got involved into the paranormal when I started. I was always like into the paranormal per se, but like when I was growing up, that was like taboo. You didn't talk about it. Your mom didn't want you talking about it because your neighbors would be scared. All that good stuff.
Yep.
It wasn't until like 2017, 16 where I started going through some stuff in my personal life, and I started spending a lot of time at the house by myself, like my old house. And one of the things that I started experiencing was actually dealing with hearing what I thought were kids walking around the house saying, the first time I ever had it happen was a kid. I heard it walking down the steps. I'm watching TV. My TV's on the wall. There's a hallway right next to the TV to the right of the TV, and I hear a little girl, sounding like my daughter, saying, "Can I have some chips?" I looked over. I'm like, "No, you can't have no chips." And I look again at the hallway. I'm like, "There's nobody there. Like, there's nobody in the house. It's just me. What the hell did I just hear? Like, that I just hear what I thought I heard." So there was a certain point in my life where I thought, like, I'm going crazy. I kept hearing things left and right throughout the house. I would go to bed. I would hear footsteps walking up and down the hallway at nighttime. At the time, I had bought this Foot Locker that belonged to William, who was a Marine, and it was his foot locker for the military. It was a World War II foot locker. And it has his name etched in it. It's got his military number on it. And when I used to come home from work, I would take my vest, take my gun off, throw it in that foot locker, lock it, leave it in there. At nighttime, I would hear the lock being moved around. It was like being played with. I have a German Shepherd, so my thought was like, like my dog's like maybe pushing against it and maybe moving. I always try to think of logical explanations before I start thinking about like paranormal things.
Yeah.
And I would look over, my dog's laying right next to my bed, so it wasn't my dog. Like, that's interesting. So a buddy of mine, who's actually the first group I ever joined to do the paranormal investigation and learning more about the paranormal, was his name was Mike. At the time, he was the founder of was it Precision Paranormal. So from that, I joined his group. At first, I had him come to the house, check my house out, and I'm sitting here still thinking I'm going nuts, I'm going crazy, I'm hearing things. Within 20 minutes of him starting the investigation, he isolated the whole house. We had an outdoor shed. He set up the TVs for the cameras in the shed, and his group was sitting out there watching the cameras, making sure nothing happened. And me and him going to the house first. Within the 20 minutes of starting our investigation, all the batteries to the recorders died. So they start changing the batteries out, starting from the living room, working our way down to the last room of the house. We had a camera facing down the hallway, which is where I heard all of this stuff going on, and where I heard the little girls, where I would hear footsteps. And we get to my room. He goes into my room, starts changing the battery. I'm sitting out in the hallway with the camera in my hand. There's a camera facing me near the living room of the house. Swear to God, I heard a woman saying hello, like clear as day, but it sounded almost robotic, like saying it down a tunnel. If that made any sense. Like it's just like very. The best way I can explain it is if you take those old school little microphones with the spring that you had as a toy, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
If you talk into that and that sound it makes with the vibration of the spring, that's what it sounded like to me. I look over at Mike and I'm like, "Yo, did you hear that?" He's like, "No, I didn't hear anything." I'm like, "Dude, I know I'm not going crazy. I definitely heard that." So luckily, we had just changed the recorders, the batteries to the recorder in the hallway, and the camera that's facing down the hallway was plugged in, so we didn't have to worry about that. That camera and the recorder itself captured a woman saying hello, clear as day, exactly how I explained it. And he's like, "Dude, I didn't hear any of that." So at that time, I started realizing that I could hear things that not many people could hear. And I was like, man, like it kind of feels good because I know I'm not going crazy. I know it's not something that, I'm experiencing or making up in my own head or whatever the case may be. And that's kind of where I got hooked. I started doing more research, more investigating, doing, residential houses. I joined his group for a little while there and kind of just like went my own way and just started investigating and doing what I'm doing now. But I always like hearing stories like that because I feel like those like incidents that we deal with, like even like you want to consider traumatic incident, somehow have the ability to like amp that communication level up. I don't know what it is about it, but the people that I've talked about it that have had some sort of way of communicating with the paranormal have had some sort of traumatic incident kind of just started the whole thing.
I had a traumatic birth as well. I was a breech baby, and I was born with a veil, so I was a trifecta of paranormal problems.
My son was breech.
Wow. Yeah. Both of mine were C-sections.
I had C-sections both times.
Yeah.
The first time was because she would not leave my body. She did not want to leave. She still, is my twin, so she's clung to me. So she is very true to her birth. And my son, he was a large child, so he didn't move the whole time. And it's again very true to who he is. He will just, if he's comfortable, he will stay put. And he will not reposition himself if he's fine. He just stays where he is. But he was breech, and he was very large. He was 10 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My hips are not okay. But I had a C-section with him because my doctor didn't want to have to go through all of the extra steps. And I was like, you know what? let's just do that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it
Man.
was the C-section too.
so was I.
Because I guess I was like lodged up where my I was lodged and didn't want to come out, so they had no choice. They couldn't like manually turn me, so they had to take me out C-section.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think I was sideways, but my mom had a lot of issues blood pressure wise and everything with me, which is what I have with my daughter.
I hear I
So
took out a couple ribs on the way out, so it's cool. I was a boxer long before I was a rebel.
oh, yeah.
ouch. That sounds like it hurts. I don't even want to think about it. Like you can feel it.
Oh,
Destiny at
so
its
uncomfortable.
finest.
I like to pick on my son because his head was sitting like right where my, your rib cage comes together, right at like the sternum. So his head was like right there. So I was sitting like backwards most of the time.
Oh, it sounds uncomfortable.
Like, dude, you're so lucky. I love you. Not that I would have done anything about it because what can you do?
Yeah. At that point, you're stuck.
Yeah, yeah.
He's adorable. Leave my little buddy alone. Leave
He
my
is
little
really
friend.
cute.
He's my little
That's funny.
friend. My little friend
That's-
friend.
But yeah. What about you, Sal? You had anything traumatic or anything like that? Like that? Like I mean, are you able to?
I couldn't say that I've had anything traumatic per se. I mean, my older brother's, he's had a lot of instances. He's severely asthmatic, so as a kid, he had a lot of instances where he almost passed. I never had any of that. Although it turns out at 39, I was diagnosed as asthmatic too, and I was like, good to know. So I don't know. I don't think so. Um, Nothing traumatic that I can say, but I do come from I come from a long line of people who feel the other side in different ways. My mom was always very connected. She would see spirits, particularly ones that she's related to. She saw my grandfather a bunch of times after he passed. Um, she saw my aunt after she passed. I saw my uncle at his gravesite after he passed, and he's the only one that I know for sure that I've seen. Um, but mostly I get smells and sounds. Um, and sometimes I just know things. Um, he My uncle in particular, we weren't very close, but he was a trucker. And he passed away. He had an accident on his way coming back from my wedding. Um, and he ended up in a hospital in Illinois. And I went on my honeymoon. I came back, I called to say goodbye, and he passed away like 2 hours later.
Mm.
So I feel very connected to him even though we weren't very close. But I was sitting here working from home one day, and all of a sudden, all I could smell was stale coffee and cigarettes. And I said something to my dad. I was like, "Why do I smell this?" Because none of us smoke. I live with my parents now, or I live with my dad now, but um, none of us here smoke, and there's never stale coffee because we drink it. But that was very much what my uncle always smelled like to me, was stale coffee and cigarettes. Every now and then I'll get mothballs, and I don't know who I can associate that to, but every now and then I'll get mothballs, and there are no mothballs in this house either.
Grandma.
Well, it might be, um, it might be my mom's mom or like my mom's grandmother. I don't know. Um, but so my mom passed away uh on November 3rd, 4th. It was over midnight. In this house. And the 30th of October or the 1st of November. It was one of those 2 because it was right around Halloween, so, the veil is thin, they say. Which I can attest to because she was in and out that whole time. Um, our smoke alarms went off randomly in the middle of the night, and to me, it almost feels like that was her family coming in to, like, almost, like, welcome her to wherever to, to guide her into the
Right.
afterlife, whatever that looks like. Um So, like, there's, like, little instances. My best friend passed away shortly after he passed away, like, weird stuff would happen with my car radio, which is where we would sit in the car and sing at the top of our lungs. So, like, Disney music would come on because we were big fans of Disney. I didn't even know there was a Disney station. I went in my car one day and it was on. and it was programmed, and I was like, I didn't even know it was here. And that sounds like it was programmed, and I forgot about it, but I had no idea it was there. And it was not programmed before that day, and I'm the only one that drives my car. And I was driving home at like 4 a.m. from my friend's house, and one of the very last song that we said we would like duet together, because we are such weirdos. It randomly
Everybody does that.
right, like we all have weird shit we do with our friends. But his neighbors probably hated us. But it was Leather and Lace by Stevie Nicks and Don Henley. So right after Stevie Nicks' part, the radio completely went off. And I was like, that is not cool, dude. Like, I'm gonna sing your part too. So we're just gonna let me have this moment. And I turned it back on and it was fine. But it would happen all the time. Like just like weird things, songs that we sang together, all that stuff. I had a car accident and I lied. My uncle's not the only one that I've seen. I saw him actually walk by for a second, or what I thought was him walk by for a second. And then later that night I had a car accident. And then one of the mediums I talked to actually was said that that's what he does, is he prevents car accidents. Not too long after that, his mom actually ended up in a really bad car accident right outside of my house, and that she didn't even live over here. And then there was another one that I was going to mention too, but I can't remember what it was now. Oh, when I was pregnant with my daughter, and we're talking 2012, 2013, I was cleaning out the room that was to be hers. And my ex-husband was in the bathroom across the hall. And I'm cleaning it out and everything, and all of a sudden I heard a woman's voice say, "Mama?" Like with a question mark. And I turned around and I was like, "Okay." And he came in not too long after that, and I was like, "Did you say something? Like, did you say something to me?" And he was like, "No." He was like, "Why?" And I said, "Well, I just heard somebody say mama." And we lived in a townhouse, but the people on that side of the house, none of them are women. They were all male. And then the other side, one's an old woman, and it wasn't an old woman's voice, and I know her voice. And he was like, "Yeah, I wasn't gonna tell you this." He's like, "But the other day I actually heard footsteps when nobody was here but me upstairs," and he was downstairs. Now fast forward to when my daughter was maybe like 7, 8 months old. She was I was exhausted. I went to bed, and it wasn't late. She started crying apparently. I had the baby monitor like right next to me, so I should have heard her, and I didn't. And next thing I know, I come up and he's standing on the other side of the bed holding her, and he was like, "Didn't you get up?" And I was like, "No, I've been sleeping." Like I didn't even hear her. Was she crying? And he was like, "Yeah, she's freaking out." And I was like, "I didn't hear her at all." And he was like, "I swear to God." He's like, "I heard you get up out of bed, walk across the hall and go into her room, and then I came up because she wouldn't stop screaming. I thought something was like really wrong." And I was like,
Sheesh.
"Nope. Nope, wasn't me, just the ghost." And before that, actually, sorry, there's so many different pieces to this one. We used to have a house phone back in the day. His grandmother had a friend, they called her German Ann, and we had so many voicemails from a female voice with a German accent. We don't know who it came from because none of the numbers had any names to them or anything, because we had caller ID. And the voicemails just said Melly, which was his grandmother's name was Millie. But it was just Melly. So it was really weird. But she's also dead. She was dead when that happened. So I'm thinking like they're, like somebody's around. Somebody's protecting my daughter.
That's pretty cool though. I mean,
Yeah.
at least it has that frequency.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's
There's a lot of
interesting.
stuff.
We're talking. There's like footsteps going on behind the screen here, and like on the ground. And there's nobody in the shed with me, so
That's funny.
that's
That's
it's
interesting.
Yeah, well, it's just that whole thing I was telling you guys. The Foot Locker is actually right above me, so it kind of makes sense.
Oh.
I
Did you
keep
ever
it
find out,
outside
like,
there.
do you think maybe he's attached to that?
Yeah, he definitely is. So at the time, touching a little bit on that, I was trying to make it into a coffee table, and when I started actually like drilling into it, like all hell broke loose around the house. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll put it back to how it was. And ever since I fixed it and put it back to the original form, it's been nothing with it. But needless to say, I moved and now it stays outside. It doesn't stay in the house.
Yeah. Yeah, he
But,
knows you're talking about him.
yeah, definitely.
Trying to make himself known.
But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's pretty crazy. Like, not crazy, but like just interesting that stuff happens. I mean, I had similar stuff happen to when my brother passed away, and he used to always come to. No, it's okay. He used to always come to the bed at nighttime and give us like a kiss on the forehead, like before he would go to work. He was a cop in Puerto Rico also, and the couple nights after he passed away, like every single one of like myself and my two sisters, like had the whole like walking up to you, tucking you in, and kissing you in the forehead feeling before. This right around the same time he would do it too. So there's no explanation for it, but it does happen. A lot of people don't realize that there's there's things that we can't see and that we can't explain that are occurring around us at all times.
Right. Well, I think there's something to say too. It's like the energy signatures that people leave behind. It's not necessarily their whole spirit, but I think it's like those energy signatures that people leave behind that attach themselves to like the Foot Locker or to like, like Rebel was saying, like the hot tub to make sure that Carmen was there.
Yeah.
Like I think we leave behind pieces of ourselves in situations that we think will matter.
Right. Not only that too, but like if you think about it, like this goes way beyond our time. Also, even with like Albert Einstein, a lot of people don't realize this, but he was one of the he was studying the paranormal without essentially studying the paranormal. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
One of his theories is the unified field theory, where he like touches into if you can control space, you can control time, you can control time, you control space, which is supposedly one of his biggest mystery. That till this day, like they don't think he discovered it, but there's theories behind it that kind of prove that he did have some sort of finding with it, which also touches into, I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Philadelphia experiment, touches into the Philadelphia experiment, and it touches into a lot of different military experiments that have been created or, attempted throughout time. And all it just has to deal with that one unified field theory that Albert Einstein had. Thomas Edison, the spirit phone. A lot of people, seem to think that Thomas Edison created the spirit phone at the time, and he's sort of like the creator of the telecommunication between spirit phones and things like that, which is interesting. But it's kind of cool to hear other stories, with the paranormal behind it, which is another reason why I created that whole supernatural and told stories. I just like hearing the stories and being able to actually push that out and talking to people and seeing what their paranormal experiences are. Because like I said before, everybody's different.
Yeah.
I actually have a Native American spirit that likes to follow me around. So I used to have a house out in Scarborough, and that's where I picked him up from. He was attached to the land, but then for some reason he got really attached to me after I lived there. I don't know if maybe it was just because I was the first person he had ever met that could actually see him and hear him and interact with him. But he became like very, very protective over me. Like my ex-husband, he used to do shit to my ex all the time.
He deserved it.
Like
He deserved
my ex would be home alone and taking a shower, and then the toilet would flush while he was in the shower and burn him. He would be trying to put like food in a pot, like water in a pot to boil food, and the water faucet would just shut off, like wouldn't turn back on. But as soon as I got home, he'd be like, "Oh, babe, the water's not working. The water's not working." I go flip the spigot, and it's working just fine. But like if I turned it off and he tried to turn it back on, it wouldn't turn back on. He also used to throw stuff at him. Like he hated my ex-husband. And, at one point he finally asked me what was going on, if we had a ghost. And I was like, well, sorry, he thinks he's a guard dog. I don't know what you think I'm going to do about that. Like, but he had a really hard name to pronounce. So I always just called him Apache because that was his tribe. So he was an Apache, and that's been his name for, I don't know, almost 10 years now, and he still follows me. But he really likes my husband now, so he doesn't bother anybody anymore. But he will be a guard dog if he has to. He really thinks he's a guard dog. Like, he must have been like a guardian or a protector of the tribe in another life. Like, he's very protective. And if he doesn't like you, you'll know real
It's
quick.
it's very interesting that you said he's Apache because, from what I know, and I don't know a lot, so please don't come for me.
They will.
But
They will.
what I have heard about the Apache tribe is that they were very protective of their own as well. Um, they're said to be very violent, but I think it was justified. But yeah, they were they were said to be very protective of their own and very very violent if necessary.
That would explain why he thinks he's a guard dog.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know he's still around because he plays with my dogs. Like, every now and then Rocky or Apollo will jump up in my lap and they'll just look at a random spot and they'll stare at it for a while and be like,
it's like trying to figure out what's going on.
and then they'll start moving like somebody's petting them and they get really excited. And then every now and then I'll just hear a whoosh out the door because he likes to be out in the backyard, obviously. But yeah, he's still around.
It's interesting you mentioned that because, like, my old house, which is the house I used to live in, was very big into like the Native American. There's different Native American tribes in the area at the time. I guess whenever part of that land, that's my understanding. I'll tell you a funny story. I haven't told. There's only maybe like a handful of people to know the story because this is like one of those stories I don't tell many people because it makes you sound like you're nuts. And this is an actual experience that I
just
have.
so you know, we are international. So the whole world, literally the whole world's going to hear this.
That's funny. So I was coming back from fishing. One of the biggest things, like especially when I was going through that time, it was right around the same time frame where I started hearing the little kids and things for that matter. I used to go bass fishing a lot, and I had a nice little bass boat I used to take out and spend my time fishing. I'd come back home like later on in the day, clean the boat, get it all ready, put it away. And when I got back, I was cleaning my boat, and I had 15 acres to the back of my property, and it was nothing but woods. I come to later find out that there was like a divot into the actual ground behind my house where it was supposable waterway back in the day where the Native Americans used to go to get water and things for that matter, at least from my understanding and doing the research around the property itself. Sitting there, at the time I had a German Shepherd. It was like they call it like a red and black German Shepherd. It was like that reddish tan color and black. And he used to always push the door open, go outside, play in the yard, and come back. I'm cleaning the boat. I'm looking over towards the wood area behind my house, and I hear shuffling, like leaves moving around, and things for that matter. So I looked over and I see a dog, and I'm thinking it's my dog. His name is Trigger. Start yelling at him like, Trigger, get your ass over here! Like, come back! Like, what are you doing back there? And I go back to cleaning the boat, thinking I hear the shuffling, like moving faster towards me. So at this point, I'm thinking the dog coming back towards me. Start cleaning, get to the front of the boat, and this time I'm like kind of leaning down, like looking under the boat. I just so happen to look up, and clear as day, like what I see is Native American figure, kind of like a chief figure with a chief hat. The whole attachment has I can see the leather and like the kind of kilt, whatever you want to call it, he had on, and it's like this close to me. Like I'm literally looking up at it. And at this point, I freeze. I'm like, what the hell am I looking at? Like somebody playing a trick on me? Like who the hell dresses up as a Native American to like try to play? And we just kind of like locked eyes. We're staring at each other. He does an about face, starts walking back towards the woods, and as he gets to the woods, he turns himself into this dog and goes right back into the wood. Coolest thing I've ever seen, most craziest thing I've ever seen. And ever since that day, a buddy of mine who has passed away since, he was Native American, real big into the tribe in that area. And he said, hey, listen, like this is honestly like a gift. Like not many people get to see this. The ones that do get to see it are the chosen one, as they call it. He said you have to give it an offering of some sort of like a fruit tree, or you got to plant something in the same area where you saw it go into as like an acceptance that you saw what you saw, and basically just pay my respects to it. So I played into it. I bought it. I forget what it was, like maybe like a strawberry like plant or something I planted in the backyard. And ever since that day, like ever since I planted, I think it was I think it was strawberry or lemon tree, one of the two. I can't remember exactly what it was. Ever since that day, I've had either a red-tailed hawk or a bald eagle fly around me anytime I go to do a paranormal investigation. If I go to any paranormal locations that have anything to do with Native Americans, I'll have things start happening at the house prior to going there, which is neat. Just recently, I had a red-tailed hawk land like right in front of my house. I'm not gonna say land because it wasn't land. I think it was hurt, and it just somehow, for whatever reason, was like right in front of my house, like for 2 days. The first day I tried coming after it, it like skirmished away, went back into the woods. And then the second time it allowed me to actually get it and put it into a crate. And I called one of those refugee places for red-tailed hawks. Unfortunately, I had to put it down because it had gotten hit by a car, according to them, so they couldn't really do anything for them. But it was just interesting to see it just like out of all the people around there, like, why want to go to anybody else and just make, you know what I mean?
Right.
And even the same thing, eagles, bald eagles. Tell you a funny story. I fly planes. I was taking pilot classes or flight classes. I fly out of Wilmington, Newcastle, or Wilmington, Delaware, here in Delaware. It's also known as Newcastle. The actual airport's called Wilmington. My instructor was like, when we're talking about bald eagles, I was like, dude, like, what do you do? Like, have you ever had like a bald eagle fly next to the plane? Like, you know what I mean? Like the engine, like what are? He's like, dude, with as many bald eagles that there is here, he said, I've never seen one fly near a plane, this and that. I said, well, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened anytime you're out with me. Long story short, maybe like 2-3 weeks after I said that, we're flying, we're taking off. Literally, a bald eagle flying right next to us. It's like, holy shit. Starts freaking out, like, constantly like taking pictures. Like I told you, like it happens every time. I can't explain it, but it's just something that happens. And according to my good friend that passed away, anytime you see a red-tailed hawk or a bald eagle, it means that you have the highest level of protection. I think a bald eagle is like the highest, and then the red-tailed hawk is the second lowest to that. So apparently it's something good to see every time you go out. So,
yeah.
It's
actually amazing that you get one when you go on investigations too, because you almost feel like really secure in what you're doing. Like, I'm safe.
Right.
Like, I'm safe to do this. This is what I meant to do because I'm being protected this entire time.
Yeah. It's interesting, but like I said, I mean, it's always cool seeing what different investigations bring, because there's always different experiences, and I mean, not many of them you're ready for. At least I know there's a couple. There's a couple I ran. I mean, I'll admit it. I'm man enough to admit. Listen. There was one. I'll tell you a funny story. You said you're from West Virginia, right?
I am Charleston.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was at West Virginia State Penitentiary.
Yep.
We're investigating there. It's my first time ever going there. Actually, it's my first and only time. And it's myself, Sean, and I think there was like 3 other people with us. Sean, for whatever reason, Sean and I split. Me and this lady named Melissa, we start hearing voices coming out of the infirmary, like where I guess it was like the infirmary for the inmates back in the day. And I start hearing the voices, and we split, not realizing that we're splitting from the entire group. So now it's just me and her walking down this hallway by ourselves. It's pitch black. You can't see anything. Obviously, everything echoes in there. So we get to a certain spot, like there's a little divot on the floor where it kind of like goes into like a higher step, but it's not really a step. It's just like a little ramp. As soon as my foot hits that, the voices stop. So we stop. We're listening. We're trying to figure out like what happened to it. Clear as day, I get the whispery hey, like right near my back, like neck, ear. And all of a sudden you hear like metal clashing as loud as it can clash. I think it was a cell door, like just closing as hard as it can close, where it echoed throughout the entire hallway. Well, that was fight or flight, and I definitely wasn't fighting. I pushed her out of the way. I jumped over her. I was gone. I was out. I get up to the main area. We got split. I'm like, oh, crap. I left Melissa behind. So I had to do the whole walk of shame, come back, get her. She's like cussing me out. She's like, you MF for this and that. I'm like, listen, I'm sorry. I was going. It's every man for themselves. And at that point, you were by yourself. I was just done.
That reminds me of that scene in Scary Movie 2 where Cindy's being chased by the skeleton And Brenda's sitting there like, oh, just let it get her ass and please move on, blah, blah, blah. Well, then the skeleton comes up and Brenda's like, she's like, Brenda, it's coming to get us. It's coming to get us. She's like, it would have just been you if you'd have just shut the fuck up. And she's like, wait, Cindy, this is just bones. Would you run from Callista Flockhart? And then after they get rid of the skeleton, the ghost pops up. And Brenda takes off running, leaves Cindy. She's like, Brenda, I thought I was your best friend. Where? I'm going to miss you, boo. I'm going to miss you, girl.
That was definitely me. I would definitely miss you. I'll see you on the other side when I get there.
Right. You first.
Yeah.
I think I would be brave enough to save Stella. I think Stella would be like, I'm out.
See ya. Bye. I don't know. We'll have to find out.
You were my favorite cousin. I'm going to miss you, girl.
She said,
Come
see
and
what
visit.
happened was.
Bye.
Come haunt me later.
Yeah, we'll talk. I'll use a spirit box. I'll talk to you later.
Right. Exactly.
Really cute. Might go get haunted.
In my spirit box, all I hear is "fuck you."
Should have saved me.
I'd be like, you left me. I'm totally doing Jacob Marley from Christmas Carol.
I'm just gonna be like, turn the volume down and off.
I
That's
could be
enough.
standing over her as a ghost, and she'd be like trying to feel my face for a mute button.
Stop.
That's hilarious.
Stop.
Rebel, I love you, but I'm trying to sleep. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Pick a
Me
better
not
time.
sleep.
Home. ET phone home.
That's great. I like it.
That's funny.
Well, this has definitely been a very interesting and fun interview. That hour went by very quick.
I know.
Oh, yeah,
That's
it
the
did.
problem. I
It's been an
never
hour.
want to stop talking.
I know. We
That's
really
the
need
same
to
here.
just we just really need to up the ante and extend it to, infinite conversations. I'm just kidding.
we would never end it because we'd be like, I don't really know. We could just keep going, I guess.
Yeah.
It would
Find
be
something
one
else
of
to talk
those.
about each time.
Right.
It would be one of those. We don't stop till we all drop. So like, whoever's the last one sleeping would be the winner.
Just hit end recording if you see everybody else fall asleep. It's fine.
Oh, I'd be the first
the
one
thing,
to
listen.
sleep though.
You don't know that.
I've been on
I
some
do.
podcasts where it's just been like just nonstop talking, but it's like very monotone talking. It's like a lot of people just fall asleep.
Oh,
Like, listen, I love you guys, but I gotta go.
can't.
Nice talking to you.
I hate dry conversations like that where it's like you're pulling teeth to get a word out,
Right.
or like
Or you sit
ask
there and there's like crickets, you got crickets in the background, like chirping.
Yeah, or you ask a question thinking it's going to be like an in-depth thing, and you get 2 words as a response.
Right.
You're like, tell me about this, and they're like, bleep bleep, and then you're just like, oh, that's it. Oh, all
I'd
right.
be like, oh, tell us where we can find you, and
Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
Right.
Next.
Social media.
Right. Exactly.
Speaking of
In
which-
general.
Speaking of which, tell us where we can find you in closing.
Of course. I have Facebook, Supernatural Untold Stories, TikTok, Supernatural Untold Stories, and then YouTube is a little different. It's Supernatural Untold Stories with 2 S's. Apparently, I took my other one and then I tried to rebrand my other one and I completely screwed it up. So there's 2 S's now instead of 1.
2 S's at the end or 2 S's at the beginning?
2 S's at the end. Yep.
Okay. Good.
It's
and
very
then-
sus, guys.
Yeah, sus. You can just type in sus and it comes up too.
Very sus.
Same thing with Instagram, Supernatural Untold Stories there too. Also, we have an app that we released probably November last year that we're actually starting to push out now. If you guys want to look into it, is actually it's an app where it actually takes let's say, we've all done investigations. You have EVPs or recorders. When you start doing a recording, you start listening back to it. You'll hear something, Rebel. You might hear something. Stella, you might hear something different, all in the same sentence. This app is basically very similar to that. It uses frequencies. So that's actually listening to what we've determined where that frequency that we can communicate with like EVPs, whatever frequencies we've used to determine that the EVPs are coming in from. Once you stop talking, it starts listening to that frequency. And what it does, it uses AI to determine the actual AVPs coming through. So there's no set what's that? The Ovilus, where it has like set vocabulary, where it only has a certain amount of vocabulary you can pick from. Now this is completely free speech. Whatever it hears is what it's going to say. If it's going to cuss, it's going to cuss right through. I mean, it's obviously you got to be 18 to download it, but
Right.
it whatever it listens or hears is what it's going to put on the screen. And there's two different modes. There's a mode where you can leave a recording or actually just let it run, and you can ask the questions. And at that point, it's not listening to your frequency, but it'll listen to the frequencies that are incoming into it, like their AVP frequencies. And the AI will determine what those words that are coming through and listens to the word and actually puts it through on the screen. Or there's the other way that you can use it. It's by asking questions. So you can hold the button down and it's actually listening to your frequency, and I'll put it on the screen. And then you have, once you let go of the button, it actually starts listening to the EVP frequency, which would also put it on the screen, which is where the hashtag texting with the dead came from, because it literally looks like you're texting with the dead.
Oh, that's cool.
But
I'm going ghost hunting next month. I'm downloading it right now.
Yeah, it's called Spirit Phone Innovations. It's only available on iOS, so we're pushing that on there also.
Cool. I got an iPhone, so it's cool.
iPhone, iPad. Listen, it doesn't have to be an iPhone. So anything that's iOS related, actually run it. But it's interesting because
downloads at least right now.
What it does, it actually records the conversation too. So like if you want to go back later and see what you got, you can actually click on it. It actually records the date and the time that you started your session, and it'll put it on the screen for you. Also, another cool feature that it has a map with a lot of haunted locations that are near you. The locations are still being added till today, but it's something cool that you can click on and just see like, oh, there's this is where I'm at. There's a couple different horror locations here that we can go to, and you can use that, which is interesting and cool. But
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That's fantastic. That's going to be such a cool tool for especially like beginners. Who don't necessarily have a lot of equipment. It'll give them something to use too.
Oh yeah, so. and one of the things that
people.
Yeah, like my thing with this, which is interesting, I'm always big, like I'm not pushing just 100% on this. Like I'm always big on using an additional device to just validate what is coming through, and that's kind of what we've been doing too, just to test it. Like we've been using a spirit box and having the spirit box run alongside of this. So there's a lot of times where the app itself would actually tells the word, and then the spirit box will come through and saying the same exact word that the app told us, which is a lot of times a lot of good validation. I mean, that's like I said, going back to the research aspect of it, that's how I research it. As long as I can get two different devices or even three different devices saying almost like very relatable words, I mean, you can definitely tell you're communicating with something,
Right, something's obviously happening.
What did you say the name of this app was again? Spirit
Phone Innovations. It's kind of like what we talked about originally with Thomas Edison, where he had created the Spirit Phone. That's where a lot of research came from too.
That makes sense. And
so Spirit Phone Innovation, or you can just type in Spy on Apple App Store, and it comes up as Spirit Phone Innovations as well. The SPI.
Oh, $14.99.
Yeah.
That's inexpensive as well. All right, I'm gonna see if I can flash it on the thing. This is what it looks like.
Yeah. Yep, that's it. It's a one-time purchase too, so like you don't have to keep buying and paying stuff and stuff like that for it. I mean, there are additional features going to be added later on that we're working on. Those are like a monthly cost, but other than that, it's just a one-time purchase, and you have access to that app.
That's awesome.
I am downloading it right now, sir.
And let me know what you guys think. I mean, we're always doing improvements on it. Like I said, it's not perfect how everything else is perfect nowadays, but like we're raw. We tell you how it is. Like if it's working, it's working. And there, we had a couple issues at first when the AI was trying to take over. Thank you, I appreciate it. And then but other than that, it's been fixed and we're up and running again.
So exciting.
Let me know what you guys think. Like if you guys get some really cool stuff with it, tag me or just hashtag it. Because I like seeing what other people get. I actually have somebody that keeps sending me a lot of their communication and what they're getting in their house. And
I'm very interested in to see if I get anything in my house because, like I said earlier, my mom passed away in my house.
Yeah,
and I watched it happen, so I feel like she's probably around here still. So we'll see.
That'd be interesting. Let me know if you get anything cool because we had somebody that got, I think it was a haunted object they brought to their house. And they had the history of the object written down. They knew exactly everything behind it. So I started using the app with it, and the app actually validated a lot of the history that they had.
Oh, cool.
That were, I think one of the names like Stella that came through. I'm so not Stella, Stephanie. I think it was Stephanie.
I was like,
something like
whoa,
Stephanie.
that's
I
weird.
was like, wow, calling you out, buddy.
It might have been Stella. No, it was. I think it was Stephanie or someone with ST. But the app that came through, like it shortened it instead of actually saying the full word. So like through the spirit box, they got the actual name, like the full word of the name. I think it might have said Steph or Stephanie 1 or 2,
Mhm.
and the app said Steph, which was cool because now it's validating each other. And
Right.
that's the kind of things I find interesting. Or even when you get no response, I'm like, yes, no response, like nothing came through. Like I find that cool because I'm like, like at the end of the day, it's working, it's doing what it's supposed to do. And if there's no response, it means that there's literally no response.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Actually,
I'm a geek when it comes to that,
Me
that's
too.
cool. This is gonna be so cool, especially when like I have those weird moments where like I have a weird smell or I hear something random, like all the little things that I get.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes, if you look
slowly
at
rubbing off on her.
That
that's
was
cool.
before we reconnected, actually. So I'm interested to see how that amps up.
Yeah.
It will.
Yeah.
The longer you hang out with me, the more in depth it's going to get for you.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it seems like everybody
That's
that
how it happens.
hangs out with me ends up discovering they have abilities or I enhance their abilities somehow.
Well, and
That's
I
awesome.
actually think that when you get together with other people with abilities, like they just amplify each other. So like I
Yeah.
think that it's a thing. And when somebody is like radiant as you are, like I think that you just help bleed it into other people.
It's like a big
So
beacon.
yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter also she also sees spirits, so I'm interested to see. She's about to finally meet Rebel in person next month, so we'll see how that goes too. With
You
what
guys gotta
happens
keep
with
me
her afterward.
Yeah,
posted on that.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday to her. My
Yeah.
presence is a gift.
Yeah. Well, it is, but
I also bought her a gift just to reiterate, guys.
yeah,
I'm not the only present she's getting from me.
it's
That's funny.
sitting waiting for her birthday so that she can open it.
That's cool.
Anyways,
Listen, thank you
Stella?
guys for having me on. It was fun. Had a
Yes,
blast.
thank you for
Yeah.
being here. We really appreciate you. Stella, is there anything you want to mention in passing as we close?
Is there something you want me to mention?
Um,
No, maybe. I don't know. So there's nothing new. It's just we have, we recently just rolled out some merch. And it's all in the outro again. Like now, I mean not again. I updated that. We now are on Spotify, so you'll find our episodes listed on Spotify. I think I have the first 8 listed right now. Just as a podcast for people who want to listen rather than watch.
Yeah.
So
and
those
we
are 2 new
do,
updates.
we do
Especially
have
when you're
some
driving.
people. We have some people interested in becoming sponsors for our show, so that's fun and
Yeah.
exciting. If anybody else is interested, shoot me a message on Facebook. I'm sure you all know me. Or shoot me an email at thrivinginchaostv@gmail.com. I'm an approachable person. I'd like to talk. Obviously, I'm a talk show host. Just saying. Our comments are really quiet usually. Like we have like 1 or 2 negative people that just want to be
Every now and
heard.
then.
And
Always
beyond
you
that,
always,
we got nothing. Nothing.
always have the negative. There's
Always.
always at least 1 or 2 that'll come and say something negative.
I don't care. I love that they're negative because the more they comment, the more we get paid. So by all
And
means, come
Any
for me,
attention is
negativity
good
Karen.
breeds
attention.
negativity. Yep.
Come
Negativity
for me,
breeds
Karen.
negativity, and all of it pays. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Exactly. And we get more noticed by the haters than we do people that love us.
So true.
Which is
Listen,
great because, everybody has to watch what everybody's complaining about. So, bring it.
That's great. But all right, guys. Thank you. Like I said, thank you for having me. It was a blast. It was a pleasure meeting you both of you.
You
And
too.
Thank you for being here, my friend.
Hey.
And on that note, we are